Photogrammetry. That technique kind of gets you into all the different, if you will, Jack's POV shots. The condo stuff, the flying around inside the bomb, the out the window and down into the street through the van. All that stuff is all done the same way. The craziest one was flying down the side of the building where we went into this derelict building right next, on Figueroa. And we had to go to all the different floors and hang his camera out there. And he hadn't really realized that we were going to do this. And Michael was really being careful about how he got his camera on the end of the boom. And I just sort of like strapped it on and started doing it. So because I was the one person he couldn't sort of slow down. And I would just like poke it out there because we only had like 2 hours inside this building before they kicked us out. The cool thing about that technique, of course, is that you do get those images. You get all those cool things you can get out of a still camera that you can't get out of a motion picture camera. And then you get all the flexibility of CG, where you can leap out a building and pop through the street and, do all these cool things. The technique that Boof used is a little bit of a variation on the basic theme of image-based modeling and rendering. The first part of which is known as photogrammetry in map making, so it tends to pop up as photogrammetry. What Boof has come up with is how to get photoreal without having to come up with the world's most perfect shaders. They take these texture maps from an image, so it's image-based modeling. From image-based modeling, they then do image-based rendering, which is taking the image and saying, this pixel seen from all these different pictures is this color. So we use that all over the place for things that were like not necessarily good ideas to do in CG most of the time. Like the whole sequence flying through the Jack's condo is entirely CG from ground up. But we spent 4 days in Jack's condo with a still photographer and a Nikon getting very close to everything we'd fly by and taking still images of it so that we could very carefully map all that back on. And then, of course, when they finally built it all, Boof had to then ray trace reflections for all the shiny things, because part of the reason we did it this way is David wanted to have this big shiny tea kettle that we could fly right up to and not see a camera reflection in it. The Galaxy of Trash. That shot was one of those things that happened on set. One day David said, I've got this great idea. We did this trash shot. It's really boring. I want to do this thing where we pull out of the trash. I don't want to just be pushing in on it. I want to pull out of it. So Chicho and Christoph from Boof, they did a previs. They showed it to David like on a Sunday before the shoot. And he said, sure, let's do it. So art department went out and built a trash can where all the trash could be taken apart so we could photograph it from all the angles inside, even though we could never get a camera inside. And then when they finally got it back to Boof and they've modeled it all and they're doing the usual image-based rendering technique to it, it was just everything in there was shiny. Everything needed to be ray-traced reflections. And so they decided to do something really rash, and they decided to make it a full radiosity rendering. An average frame on that took like a day to render almost. I think it took like an 8-hour day to render a frame. So after the first time that David liked it and started tweaking it, it was kind of like, you want to tweak it? And it was like, well, you have like one more chance before the movie comes out because it takes us like 3 weeks to render this thing.